Hey class, so in this video we're going to go over a little bit more audio stuff with Audacity. You can see I've got the headphones on. Um, and this we'll go over some effects and a couple things that we haven't covered so far. And then we'll have another video where I'll just go over submitting the assignment. So pretty similar to submitting the self-portrait assignment, but I'll just go over it again just for making sure we're all on the same page. Um, and yeah, I graded, I think, all of the self-portraits that were submitted last week. If you submitted it more recently or resubmitted it, I will get to it soon. But let me know if you guys have any questions about the grade. A few of you guys forgot to include your PSD in your AI file. So instead of emailing people, I just responded on Blackboard. I figured you guys would see that more quickly. So if you forgot to do that, don't worry about it. Just resubmit it when you can. But it doesn't really make sense for me to grade it until I have those files. So don't worry about if it's late, just resubmit it when you see that. And if you're not sure how to do that, I think for some people, if you're using Adobe and you're saving your files in the Adobe Cloud, which for me, I had that turned off, but if you have that turned on, you may not actually see the files on your computer. So I think that might be an issue for a couple people. But anyway, either way, it doesn't really matter. Just let me know. We can go over how to get that set up correctly. But good work on that. It was fun to see those first projects. And we're moving right along. We're going to be wrapping up our audio section this week. So I'm going to get into a couple things here. And then, we'll go look at submitting the project as well. So let's just quickly take a look at the audio page and just go over a couple things that you might want to look at here before wrapping up with this unit. So there are some tutorials here. If you're following along with the videos, you probably don't need these, but if you do want to take a look at these, you can. There's some audio concept stuff. So these are some good articles that kind of review some of the technical aspects of sound that I kind of talked about briefly in the first video. So if you want to review some of that information, you can take a look at these articles. Some good info in here. There's a video here.
I love Invata Elements because it has everything I need
that
in
kind of
one
explains,
place. It has.
I'm trying to mute that. This video kind of explains bit depth and sample rate, some of the other stuff that we talked about as well. This goes into a little bit more depth. You can see there's some good visualizations, a lot of info here. There's some more info on recording and editing. But a couple of things down here that might be worth checking out are some videos about sound. So there's a podcast episode. If you don't listen to a lot of podcasts, this would be a good episode to listen to get a sense of how they do editing for podcasts. There's also a good article about recording sound here. And then there's another good video here on Foley artists. And these are sound professionals who make like the sound effects for film and animation and stuff. So this is a really interesting video in terms of looking at how they work and how they create their sound effects. So yeah, those are a few things to check out on your own time if you're interested to learn more about sound. Let's take a look at the assignment real quick before we get into our lesson today. So I'll review this again in the next video, but basically an audio portrait of a place. That's sort of the prompt. You obviously can do a lot of different things with this. You can interview somebody, you can just record ambient sounds, you could record yourself narrating something. There's obviously the recording aspect and then the editing aspect. So there's two components to the project. You can have some audio files that you recorded yourself, some that you found in the Creative Commons or public domain, and there should be at least 5 different sounds. Obviously, if you want to use more than that, that's totally fine. And you should try to go for a story that has kind of a beginning, middle, and end. So, if you just have kind of like ambient sounds going for 3 minutes, not the most exciting thing to listen to. So it doesn't have to be like, a Disney story, but There should be sort of like an introduction, some type of development, and then a clear ending. So you can interpret that how you want. You could just say, I'm here at the park and there's birds flying around and now I'm leaving the park. It doesn't have to be, a Pulitzer Prize winning story, but just something that give a sense of beginning, middle, and ending. And yeah, that's the basic idea. And then these are the files that we're gonna upload. I'll go over that a little bit more in the next video. And I might actually need to edit a couple of these things, but this looks good. So let's go into the main thing that we're gonna look at today. So I'm gonna go over to Audacity. And I've got my project from last time here. So let's go ahead and listen back to that to remember where we are. So I have some background music. I have a little bell. I have a new video setup. I realized that the border was taking up way too much space in the videos, so I kind of changed things around a little bit. I think this will work a little bit better. Anyway, so yeah, we've got our background music, we've got our little bell track, and then we've got the voice audio. So let's go ahead and listen to that real quick. Welcome to the Owen Roberts podcast. Oh, whoops, I left loop on. Let's turn Roberts off. Today, we are looking at editing audio with Audacity. Very natural reading there. Nice bell sound. Okay, so this is what I've got so far. Mine is only 20 seconds long. So remember, yours has to be between 1 minute and 3 minutes long. So you're going to have to generate a little bit more content. But for the demo purposes, I'm just going to stick with a shorter version. So today we're going to look at some effects that you can do in Audacity. And I'll kind of do a couple different examples of the types of things that you can do. And then, this could enhance or change. You could use these to kind of like change the way the audio sounds. So far, we've just looked at recording and editing and changing the volume, changing the pan a little bit. But we haven't looked at like actual effects. So one of the things that when you're working on Audacity with most of the effects, we'll look at a couple different versions of this, but most of the effects that we use in Audacity are destructive. And so there's a couple different ways of doing editing in audio, as well as, images and any type of digital media. There's destructive editing, and we'll see that it says this, and then there's non-destructive editing. And basically what that means is that if you do something that is destructive, you're changing the actual data, so you won't be able to undo it. You can undo it in the moment, but if you save the file and close it and come back, it'll be like that. And if depending on how many undo states you have, you might lose the ability to undo it as well. So when you do a destructive edit, you're changing something, and you're not like adding a layer to it, or you're making a permanent change. With non-destructive editing, you're kind of adding stuff on top that you can take on or off, whenever you want. So those are not permanent changes. So I'll talk a little bit about that as we edit. So in Audacity, you can see with our tracks, there's like a little effects button here. This is for, they call it real-time effects, and you can see here it says non-destructive. So that's kind of that side of things, but most of the effects in Audacity are actually destructive effects, and they're in this menu. The real-time effects is kind of a newer thing that they added more recently. Most of the more sort of like high-end digital audio workstations like Pro Tools or Logic or things like that will use mostly non-destructive real-time effects. With Audacity, we are just kind of doing more basic editing, so we're not as concerned with that. So we're going to look at some destructive effects. I'll give some examples, and then at the end, we'll look at non-destructive editing. But for an example for right now, I'm just going to focus in on my voice track. So I'm going to just kind of zoom into this part here where I say podcast. So I'm going to use the zoom selection tool, and I'm going to zoom out just a little bit just so we can see what that looks like. And I'm going to turn on loop here just so we can listen to that. Podcast. Okay, so very exciting. So I'm just going to use this as an example of the kinds of edits that we can do So I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. So if I go into the effects section, you can see that the effects are kind of grouped by different things, different properties. So volume and compression, you can make the sound louder. You can normalize the sound, which we talked about in one of the previous videos, which just means bringing everything into a regular range. We're not going to use these right now, but compression and limiting are things that you might want to do at the very end of your editing process to kind of squash your audio into a smaller range so that you're not too loud or too quiet when you export for another device. Oops. But that process is a little harder to explain, so we're going to skip that for now. We don't really need it for what we're doing. There's fading. We talked about this with our layering video, so I'm going to skip over this for now, but that's where that is. Let's look at pitch and tempo. So we probably won't really use these a whole lot in our work, but this is a good way of kind of showing an example of the types of things that we can do. So with our audio, we can change the pitch, we can change the speed, we can change the tempo. So we can take the audio track and we can stretch it out or squash it. And that has different effects on the perceived pitch of the track and, of course, the duration. So let's go to change pitch. And, oh, I have to select. I lost my selection. Let's grab my selection back. And I'm mostly just showing this because it sounds funny. We're not actually going to use this. But let's say we wanted to change the pitch. So this is what our effects panel looks like. And the nice thing about with destructive editing is you can preview. So if we apply this, it's going to actually change our audio data. But if we're not sure if we want to do it yet, we can preview. So let's preview what this sounds like. Podcast. Okay, so we don't really hear the difference very much there, but let's turn up our pitch change a lot. Oh, we went a little too high. Okay, let's try that. Podcast. Okay, so you can see it changes the voice very high, and we can go the other way. So we're going about an octave up and an octave down, and that's kind of measured in percentage of frequency. And so we can move this slider a little bit to get smaller increments. Podcast. So we can raise the voice a little bit higher, or we can lower the voice. Podcast. We can also turn on this high quality stretching. Podcast. Podcast. Sounds pretty much the same, but it gives it a little bit more quality. And then a lot of the effects also have a preset section. There's no presets here, so we'll ignore that for now. But that's one place that I always look when I'm looking at an effect to begin with, because you might see some stuff in there that are kind of close to what you're going for. You can try those and then you can adjust them. So that's changing the pitch. So one thing that you'll notice, let's change the pitch. So let's change the pitch by, let's see, let's do 6. So we'll be able to hear that, but it won't be too crazy. Podcast. So look what happens when I click the apply button. You see the waveform actually changes. And if I leave my program and come back, I won't be able to undo this. I'd have to like redo all my edits. So with this kind of thing, you want to be really sure that this is the edit that you want. You might even want to make like a separate track and do it there so that you can do it later. Right now I can hit Control Z or Command Z on Mac and that'll undo. And then I can also hit Command Shift Z and redo it. But as I mentioned, if I do a bunch of other stuff, I won't be able to come back and undo this later. So that's destructive editing. It actually changes the audio. Let's also take a look. So this is what our track looks like here, but let's look at this that's the waveform. Let's look at the spectrogram. I'm going to go to spectrogram view. I'm going to undo. Oops. Oh, it brings us back here. Okay. I can't do it that way. All right, we'll just podcast. Undo that. Podcast. Okay, let's try this again, but I'm going to go to spectrogram view to begin with. Okay, there's our current spectrogram. Podcast. And if I go back to my pitch and tempo and apply, see everything gets moved up. You can like really literally see what's happening. The frequencies are just getting raised up mathematically, and so we get a higher pitch. Podcast. Okay, so that's the pitch. Let's say if we want to change just the speed. Let's go back to our waveform view. So if I go to Effect and change speed and pitch. So let's see if there's any presets. No presets. Okay. So we can change by percentage. And so let's see if we do like 20% and preview that.
Podcast.
So it sounds kind of similar
Podcast.
as the pitch change. If we go
Podcast.
If we go down, of course, the voice gets lower. So if we apply that, that's actually going to stretch it out. So it's taking up more time now because we're changing the speed. So let's listen to that.
Podcast.
So it's just stretching it out. We get a change perceived in pitch, but we also get a longer duration. Okay. So I don't actually want to apply that effect. So that was just kind of an example. Let's look at some more effects. So another thing that could be really useful are EQ and filters. These are a little bit more tricky to use because you're actually specifically changing the different frequency ranges in the recording. But you can get a lot of really cool effects from this. So one really easy example, I'm going to use this second piece of audio for a second, actually. Let's imagine, and this isn't really true, but let's imagine that at the beginning of my podcast, it's me talking, and then somebody else comes in and talking, and let's say they're on the phone, or I want to make it sound like they're on the phone. It's podcast. Podcast. Let me turn off my loop. It's podcast. Today, we are looking... Okay, so let's say in this section, I'm going to loop this section now. Oops. It's podcast. Oh, I have to. Podcast. Okay, so let's select the beginning of this part. I'm just going to select this whole thing and move to here. Zoom out a little bit. That should update my loop, right? No. Okay, so let's just move this over here. Okay, so let's say we wanted this part to sound like it's coming from a different source. Today, so what I could do, I'm going to go to Effects, go to EQ and Filters, and I'm just going to go with the basic graphic EQ. And so this is kind of crazy looking, but you see sliders for all of the different frequencies. And so basically for this one, you can do really specific tweaking, but you really want to go to the presets here. So if we go to our presets, we can do a bass cut. So you'll see all of the lower frequencies get cut out, and we get the higher frequencies mostly stay the same, and we get a little bit of smoothing in the middle. So let's preview that. Today, we are looking at editing audio with Audacity. So you can see when I take out the bass cut, it sounds a little bit like we're talking on a phone because the phone doesn't record as many frequencies in its signal. So if we like that, we can apply that. We can also try some other presets, or we can play around them on our own. I don't actually remember oh, that's interesting. Let's listen. Today, we are looking at editing audio with Audacity. So that's really boosting up the bass, which makes you sound like you're kind of in a box or in a closet or underwater or something like that, if for some reason you wanted that effect. But let's go with our bass cut and apply that. So now we have today, we have this kind of other voice. You could imagine if that was like a different podcast host, if we had two hosts, they would, be on the phone or they're on Zoom or something like that. Okay, let's go back to where I say podcast here because I want to add another effect here. Podcast. Okay. Can I set this loop here? Set loop. There we go. Okay, that's what I want. Okay. So this is another thing that I just want to show real quick. Sometimes when you add an effect, it's going to take up more space than you really have. So for example, let's say I wanted to add like a really cool like reverb echo. Under this section here, delay and reverb, you get delay, reverb, and echo. These are things that can make your voice sound like it's inside of a empty room or something like that. So let's say we wanted to add like a little bit of a delay. Let's preview this podcast. So you see, you get this delay, so it's kind of like going over time, and it ends up taking up more time than we have on the actual in this section of our audio. So I'm going to apply that, and it's going to tell me you don't have room to do this. Okay, so if I really want to do that, what I can do, I'm just going to go to the beginning of this selection. I'm going to hit Command I or Control I to make a cut there, and then I'm just going to make a new track. So I'll go to Tracks, Add New, add a mono track. If you had any effects or anything like that, you'd have to match them, or like, fading on the audio or on the pan, but there's nothing that I need to match here. So I'm going to move this track up a couple times so it's next to here. And then I'm just going to grab this audio and just drag it down. And then if I move it close, you'll see that yellow line. That means that I'm lined up. So that way I know that, it goes right into the next track. So then I'm going to select this again and go back to my effects. And now I'll be able to apply that delay effect. So let's apply that. And you can see it stretches out the audio. So let's zoom out a little bit. And we can listen
Robert's
to that.
podcast.
I'll turn loop off.
And Robert's podcast. Today.
So that's the delay. If I really want to like make it sound like I'm in like a big room or something, then I would want to use reverb. So if I go to delay and reverb and turn on reverb, reverb is basically like a very condensed delay. And so you don't hear it, delaying over time, but it creates this kind of reverberation, which mimics if your voice is bouncing around in a big room or something like that. And reverb is like on basically a ton of audio. It makes things sound kind of more real. If you listen to most music, there's a ton of reverb on the vocal tracks. So you can look at some presets here. You can see there's like vocals, bright room, dark room, medium room, large room. Let's go with a large room and preview that.
Podcast.
So you can hear it's kind of quiet actually, because the room size is really large. We could actually, there's a bunch of different properties here. We won't go over all of these, but one thing that we could do, you can see there's a wet gain. Wet refers to the effect, the audio that's coming from the effect, and then dry refers to the original audio. So if I turn up the dry a little bit, you'll hear more of that original audio.
Podcast.
Okay, so that's pretty good. I might even up the reverberance a little bit just so we get more of that effect.
Podcast.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Maybe a little less. Okay, I'll apply that. And let's listen to
And Robert's podcast. Today.
So we get kind of a nice effect there. Reverb is something that you might want to, that gets used a lot to kind of enhance the realism of vocal tracks. So you can see there's a ton of other effects in here. We don't really have time to go over all of them, but they're there. You should play around with them. You can do some cool stuff with them. One thing I do want to go over real quick is the non-destructive side of editing. So let's say, let's imagine, let's scroll back a bit in this track. Let's say I wanted to, add some pitch shifting to my voice, but I wanted to play around with it. I could go to the effects panel here, and let's loop this section. So in the real-time effects, as I mentioned, these aren't going to permanently change your waveform, so you won't see the waveform change, but you can add an effect. You can see the effects here are a little bit different. So there's some basic Audacity effects. They have a few things like reverb, distortion. Distortion might be fun to add to your voice. You can add bass and treble, but they also have effects from other programs on your computer. So you can see Apple has a bunch of built-in effects that it uses for GarageBand and stuff like that. These are two different pitch shifters that I've downloaded to play with. Then VST is another place where you're going to see some audio effects. You can also go to get more effects. You can download stuff from Audacity or other sources. But let's just do a quick example. I'll throw a Apple pitch shifter on here. And this is just to kind of show, this will just be really obvious what's happening. So when I play this back, I'm going to open this panel. And you can see right now I haven't shifted the pitch at all, but if I play this back, I can start to play with the pitch shift. And so since it's real time, it's dynamic, I can actually hear the changes as it's going.
Welcome to the Owen Roberts.
Welcome to the Owen Roberts.
Welcome to
So you can kind of get a sense of how it's going to
To
sound.
the Owen Roberts.
Welcome to the Owen Roberts. Welcome to the Owen Roberts. Welcome to the Owen Roberts. Welcome to the Owen Roberts. Welcome to the Owen Roberts.
And then if you want to hear what it sounds, if you want to kind of, do on and off to compare, you can just click on this here or this here. So we can close this and I can play it back.
Welcome to the Owen Roberts.
Welcome to the
Owen Roberts. Welcome.
So using the real-time effects, it gives you a little bit more control. You can kind of hear what things sounds like. And then when you export this, it is going to add all that stuff on there. So that's just one example. You can kind of build effects on top of each other. So let's say we wanted to add some distortion. Probably wouldn't necessarily want to in an instance like this, but just for the sake of it, let's say we wanted to do like a walkie-talkie. We can listen to that.
Welcome to the Owen Roberts. Welcome to the Owen.
And then I can kind of see how they sound together or apart. So if I turn off the
Welcome
pitch,
to the Owen Roberts. Welcome 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 to the Owen Roberts.
So you can kind of play around with those settings. So real-time effects is new to Audacity, so it's not usually what people use, but it is a nice sort of effect or feature to be able to play with. Again, there's a lot more stuff in here. I'm not going to use these, so I'm just going to get rid of these. So if I want to get rid of it, I just click on this drop down and click no effect. And that also is going to apply to the whole track as it's playing, so you can't really apply it to one section of audio. But yeah, that's it for this video. I just wanted to kind of cover the difference between destructive and non-destructive effects, and just adding effects in general. So there's a lot of different things that you could play with there. If you have like an idea in mind for an effect that might be good for your project, let me know. We could figure out how to do that. But otherwise, just kind of play around with it to see if you can get some good effects and see if you can enhance the quality of the audio a little bit. So that's it for now. I'm gonna do another quick video where I just talk about exporting the file, just review that, and then submitting everything on Blackboard.